Man, Rooster, it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere. Arr, arr, arr.
Welcome back, everyone.
Do you know?
This is that show.
We're reloaded.
We're ready with our tomato juice beer.
Bloody Bears! Bloody Bears! I know they're delicious.
I've never been huge on Bloody Marys, but I love tomato sauce.
All I'm going to say is, fuck you, Nick. Because you ruined me. But thank you.
Because now I carry around a tub of Bloody Mary mix everywhere I go.
Nope, gotta have tomatoes in it. Spicy tomatoes.
I wonder if this is counts as these inefficient chemicals, these absorbent chemicals that we ingest every fucking day.
I can tell you I'm efficiently consuming it.
It's being efficiently digested, that's for sure.
It's definitely going in the right hole.
Oh, God, that's so good though.
Yep.
With tomato sauce background, I just love
tomato sauce. When you have a bigger glass and you can put a little bit more in there and it gets a little more body to it.
Oh yeah.
My God. Yeah. And don't try it with vodka.
Oh God, I don't like vodka anyway, so.
Oh, trust me. Again, Nick, fuck you.
Are you saying it because it's dangerous? Because you'll just want to do so much of it?
So, let me, quick little excerpt here. So, Nick, you're a great guy, but goddamn it. So I had a really nice bottle of vodka. I had Tito's,
nice,
it's good vodka.
Yeah.
And this is a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll make a real Bloody Mary, right? Well, the next day I end up going out and about, and I'm not feeling quite right, and I'm like, why do I feel so off balanced? I do not feel right. It's not that I was drunk. It's not that I couldn't function. I was just like, I don't understand what's going on, right? So I get home, open the freezer, because you gotta, in my opinion, you gotta keep vodka ice cold. I mean, like ice cold. Oh yeah. Right?
That's what I love with like whiskeys and stuff too. I have to drink them freezing.
And I noticed that out of that whole goddamn bottle, I had about that much.
Oh shit!
Well, that explains it.
That's fucking hilarious.
I'm like, I know what's going on there. Perfect.
You know how many times me and my friend Gabe would steal his dad's vodka and then we'd fill water in it to make it look like we didn't take any, but then we put it back into the freezer, and his dad came to us the next morning and was like, hey, what the fuck is this? Pulls out the vodka. Yeah. It's just ice on the top half, fucking vodka on the bottom. We're like, oh, we don't know. We don't know what happened there. Don't know. All these freaking toxins we ingest every day. I've been trying to eat like less McDonald's and like all that kind of shit.
Trying?
I mean, I occasionally eat at McDonald's. what can I say? But I've been trying to, and it's hard to look for things with the more organic like compounds that you look through and it doesn't have a chemical that has 7 syllables. You're like, proethylene crimethylene bromine?
Yeah.
I'll eat it.
I mean, I will say, while we're just touching on this, is that the FDA is actually cracking down on more of that.
Are they? Yeah. I mean, because I know, like, most of the chemicals that are in our food are legal and banned in, like, all these
the rest of the world?
All of the world. And essentially, they're preservatives. They're things that make the food last longer.
Yeah,
so
they're just leftover trash bags. They're just leftover trash bags. Anything your landfill stays so clean.
That's hilarious. Seriously, though. But that's cool that they're actually going to try to flip the script and move us away. I mean, because isn't it like 30% of our population is obese or something?
Oh, more.
More? Yeah.
More. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm speaking from experience. But, I mean, but the thing is yeah, I mean, you can't have it's a problem when you look at your food and it has more chemicals in it than weed killer.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Jesus. When there's only like 3 ingredients in a weed killer, and you can't pronounce those either, but they kill the shit out of everything you spray it on. Right. And you're eating a goddamn Big Mac, which you can't spell half the shit that's in it.
Yeah, literally can't even say the name of what's in it. Yeah.
No. You know, I understand they want to look fancy and everything, but like break it down for like the layman's language, you know, like salt, Instead of
sodium chloride.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
I understand, but god damn.
It's interesting too because it's not like a presidential candidate can necessarily run on that fact because then people will vote against him. They'll be like, excuse me, I need my McDonald's fries, extra salty, fresh baked. But
on contrary to what you just said, there is a push right now because the Farmers Bill, the Farmers Act that's been going on for the last 20 years, it's coming up. There's a lot of resistance to keep renewing it.
Interesting.
There's a lot of resistance because our dependency on countries or foreign countries for our goods, but it's a multitude of things. We'll do a whole episode about that, but it forces industry back into our own soil.
Yeah.
Right? Which is cool. Yeah. I'm not against that.
Yeah, which
I'm
is
like,
good. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're not going to ship so much stuff over. We're going to manufacture it here. We're going to grow it here. The people here are going to consume it.
Yeah, and the people here who grow it are going to make the money, and that money is going to in turn grow our personal economy right back. But definitely good to think about. No. But I don't know. Speaking of presidential candidates, all this we already mentioned the freaking election is next year, but if old freaking Joe, Sleepy Joe, is back in the fucking chair next year, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I told you, the country is gonna literally just come undone.
Yeah.
That's not what I said outside of the camera, but it's gonna come undone because there's no. I mean, honestly, there is no way. I mean, the state of the economy and what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean that in the sense of I do mean that in the sense of the workplace.
But also inflation and housing prices and taxes and...
I mean, it's just to the point where, like you said in the last episode, we're working our butts off just to make our dollars because it's harder and harder to make money.
Exactly. And your money is worth less and less. That's the biggest problem is all this money that people have saved for their future is becoming less and less valuable every single day. The fucking inflation rate is out of control.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I wonder if giving everyone $1,400 for free had anything to do with this.
That's why everybody's wondering why their tax returns for this last year were shit.
Literally
shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only that, but I mean, if you took the stimulus check and you actually accepted it, your tax return just got dogpiled.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and it was more than $1,400 a year than you received.
Yeah.
They were taking more, right? And they did that because they knew that there were other individuals that weren't gonna take it, right? But they took that money still and they gave it to other businesses and this and that and in subsidies and all that. And I'm like, okay, we cannot keep robbing.
Money just doesn't come out of thin air. It's all this money that you're giving away is and that's what people didn't... I mean, you have to take it, right? You have to take the stimulus check because everybody else is taking it. But at the same time, it's that is making all the money that you own less and less valuable. The $10,000 you save for retirement isn't going to make you a fucking month by the time you're 60.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's definitely hard. I mean, there's... again, we were talking about Shawn Ryan this last episode. Yeah. He's had several of the candidates on there talking about what they want to do. So check that out on his show. We should leave a link.
For
Shawn Ryan.
I will. Yeah.
But to kind of circle back to him, we briefly touched on some of the stuff he's been talking about, and I want to talk about Tim Ballard.
Yeah, and Sound of Freedom and all that shit.
The movie Sound of Freedom.
Yeah. We were talking about this off camera, and it was just so heavy-hearted. I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but it's a human trafficking movie about him trying to rescue children and just women and everyone freaking from South America and Mexico. And this guy is truly a freaking legend for the amount of work he does.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize how big a problem this is across the world. And when its yearly profit margin is more than all the combined airlines.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. So $32 billion is what the human trafficking industry makes a year, and the airlines of the entire world make $22 billion a year, which means the market for it has got to be huge. The amount of people who are buying and selling and transferring people, and real people.
And the biggest consumer market for it is the United States of America.
Yeah.
So let that
Crazy.
sink in. So when you're out walking around and you look at somebody and they don't, it
doesn't look right. There's
Yeah.
a girl who doesn't look comfortable with anyone, or like your neighbor could be the person who's freaking, taking kidnapped children and torturing them, and it's terrible.
We were talking about
That's
how
horrible.
it doesn't just affect women; it affects women and men of all ages, from infancy all the way up into the elderly, and that to me is just
evil.
It is the epitome of evil. I mean, it is literally the definition.
And the problem is most people, and including me, you don't know that this is happening. You don't get exposure to this type of shit. And then I was working this human trafficking meeting a couple of months ago and saw Tim Ballard up there giving his presentation and everything, and it opened my eyes to how big of a problem this is. You think okay, yeah, there's people who get kidnapped and transferred, but it's and trafficked, but it's such a huge amount of people, and the money that's in it is absorbent. You would never realize that it's such a large amount of the population. And the stories you hear from these people who have been taken and tortured and raped, and it's heart-wrenching. You can't even deal with it
the survivors are just
yeah.
you just don't have the stomach.
And I saw this statistic that said, it was talking about the survivors and people who make it out and are rescued, and it's supposed to be something like 1 in 200 people are the survivors, are people who make it out and are rescued, as opposed to raped and killed and tortured and buried and have their freaking organs donated on the black market, and it's pure fucking evil. You don't understand. And that's the biggest hurdle for me, is understanding how there's a market for it. How the human psyche is
I think
willing for that much.
But we also touched on a subject that while we enjoy the audience, we enjoy you taking the time to watch our show, is that it's things like this. It's a podcast like this where people's lives are consumed by digital media and the dopamine response from your apps and everything else. And their blinders are just on. They don't even realize what's really happening in the world. And to me, that it's not just in America; it's across the world. I mean, you have all these other countries across the world that, in a lot of ways, aspire to be America, to have a similar type of lifestyle, but at the same time, they want to retain their heritage and their culture. Right. But it still affects their areas too.
Yeah, definitely.
But yet, media itself, I'm not just saying social media, I'm just saying media itself has become so polluted and so diluted that to find what's really pertinent.
The fact that we're hearing about Donald Trump or this and that, or cocaine found in the fucking White House, or all this dumb shit that's shoved in front of our face for us to ingest, the freaking animals that we are.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, literally, it's just keeping you distracted from all of this really heavy shit that's going on, that if you knew about, you could do something about and make a change, and we could all work together. But they know that, and that's why they keep us distracted and separated and entertained with all this fucking dogma.
Yeah, I mean that's put very well. Is that it's 100% distraction. I mean, you don't go to a fair or a circus or whatever,
or movies
or whatever, to be inundated by fact.
Yeah,
you want to be distracted.
Exactly.
And they've learned that as long as they can, I say that in a collective,
proverbial
in a collective sense, that the powers that be can keep you distracted.
Yeah.
That you don't understand what's going on. And honestly, it's literally stopping from looking at your phone for the majority of the day and actually looking back up into the world and actually realizing what's happening. Those are the things, going home at night and literally, and this is totally off subject. I watched this whole thing about how companies are more and more enforcing that employees have to give their personal cell phone numbers so they can be reached at all times. And wow. I mean, you're talking about everything, like retail and fast food, everything. And the reality of that is no, they don't, because there has to be a separation.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is you go home at night And unless you're in a position like I am, where I actually am on call 24/7.
Yeah.
You have to you have to learn how to set that down with your keys when you come home. You know, if you know you need to talk to somebody, talk to that person on purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, seriously.
You know, and then refocus on the one next to you. Refocus to your children. Refocus to your families.
Right.
Refocus to your communities. You know, rebuild like what's his name? Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Amazing. I watched the whole thing on him, and he's like, you know, everybody wants to talk about saving the environment. Everybody wants to talk about changing it globally, but nobody wants to do it in their home.
Yeah, personally.
You have to change your personal environment first
100%.
before you can step outside of your environment.
Yeah.
And that is an absolute truth.
Yes.
Because until you do that and you reconnect with the people that you care about and you reconnect with what's important to you, reconnect with your own personal
You can't
space.
connect with the world if you're disconnected from your own social circle.
Right, but that's what the collective, that's what they have done, is they've injected the rest of the world into you by these devices so that you're always are totally numb.
Yep, you're disconnected, you're branched out, you're thinking about this and that, and at the end of the day you think, well, there's nothing I can do about that. There's, you know, it's like, it's interesting for me to look at it, know about it, but me as an individual, it's like, that's a fucking lie. It starts with you. It starts with each of us taking actions in that direction.
It is a lie. I mean, and Tim Ballard is a perfect example. I mean, he came from a certain background with, you know, government, and he took this on a personal level, and he is a crusader to make sure that these horrible things don't happen. And he's not distracted by everything else. He's learned how to cut through the muddle of the rest of the world and get things done so that children and people and individuals go back home to their families or
to end the suffering. The immense suffering. It almost brings me to tears, like seeing these stories of these survivors, and the survivors are 1 in 200 of people who spend their entire lives in this system getting fucking manipulated and tortured. It's horrible to think about. I honestly hate that we even had to talk about this as a podcast episode because... But
it's important.
It's important content.
I think the awareness needs to start happening more and more, and that, you know, and I think it branches into something else, and this, you know, this is going to end up being a little longer episode for us, but there's a statement too that needs to be made, is that, you know, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're pro-life, pro-choice.
You have to be pro-children.
But you have to, well, it's not even that. It's like, let's just be pro-humanity. Right? Let's just be, you know, I don't care what background you are, let's just be pro-humanity. Let's focus on, you know, you see the mass shootings, you see people in serious mental degradation, you see people that are financially struggling, that you know, that they just need a helping hand, you know, just, they're not asking for much. You see people that have gone down the fucking hill for drugs because it's an escape. Why don't we focus on the population that's here now? And make that better? And not worry about who's choosing to keep a child or not in conception. Why don't we worry about who's here now? Why don't we worry about what we can do now as a, you know, individually, locally, and then, you know, state-wise, and then nationally? Like, it has to start as a ripple. It's a drop, and it has to work out.
And that boils back into the thing where, like, your actions matter. The things you do as an individual can compound with other individuals and can make real systemic change, rather than just thinking, I'm one person, what can I do about anything? You know, it's like, that's all rooted in your morals and making sure that at least you live the way is true and right and not fucking evil.
You know, and it's what your own personal lifestyle, you know, allows. I mean, everybody's life is different, but there's one thing that never costs anything, is a smile. Right? There's, you know, just to ask somebody how their day is going. Right? Just to be cordial for, you know, 1 minute. I mean, it's like the old saying of, do a good deed a day. Right? Maybe you find somebody, or you know somebody that, you know, I'm not saying you have to take your shirt off, and I'm not saying you have to change your life, but it's just the simple moment. that it may change somebody's life. It may change somebody's perception of what is going on. And I feel like this is the way.
This is the way. The myth is gone, baby.
This is the way. I mean, it's just literally you hold on to that singular moment because that moment reciprocates and it ripples and it goes out.
I just heard the story recently about this guy who went to a bar with his daughter, and this girl gave him her table so him and his daughter could sit down, and he asked her why she did it, and she said, my grandpa would have wanted me to do it. And she told this whole story to him about how he was in Vietnam and he was watching over this village, and every day he would do a small kindness for everyone in the village, just little things that built up and mattered. And when the village came to get raided and stormed or whatever, all the village people stood up and helped this guy accomplish his goal of defeating this guy, and they all worked together. And essentially his saying was like, the world is built on small kindnesses. The more small kindnesses you can put out and make the world a better place, all compound into a better world for everyone. Yeah. And it was super powerful.
Yeah, because I think what you just said is something I heard a long time ago, is that the quieter you can make a good deed, the louder the noise you'll accept.
That's a good one.
Right? So, and that dilutes, and if you think about that, that's what's happening. Is that we're so used to all this loud noise around
us. Like, look at me and what I did with this.
It's lost for the smallest little thing that happens.
Yeah.
Right? And the appreciation for it. So,
yeah.
I don't know. We kind of got off on a rant.
Yeah, we were talking about everything under the sun.
We're glad to be back.
Yep.
We will try and do our best to stay on top of this. But, leave your comments down below, everybody. Hello, we're back.
We're back. The beers are back in town.
I can't even tell you how many people have texted me.
You've been like, where are you?
I literally, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've had like 6 phone calls like, where's the show? Where is the show? Are you done?
The show is here.
You didn't cancel it. You didn't cut it out. You didn't do this or that. And I'm like, no, we're working on it. We're just busy. We got things going on.
We're gonna be on top of it. We're gonna be making more.
But it's as always. I mean,
if you guys enjoy what we talk about and leave a comment about your own thoughts about anything we discuss.
Oh, we got to talk about this real quick though, because I know Cole's going to kick us in the ass if we don't talk about this.
About this freaking AI stuff?
AI.
Yeah. Well, see, we did talk about it in Rise of the Machines. We've been talking about AI taking over the fucking world.
We'll talk about more of it in the future, but we got some AI thumbnails coming out.
Yes.
You'll have to let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Does me justice. I mean, makes me look great.
I know.
Makes me look great.
It filled out when I had my mustache. It filled out my whole face with a big beard, and I was like, all right, I'd like to see hairy rooster. We'll take that.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, let's roll this for a minute. Let's see what happens. I mean, we can promote some AI thumbnails and see what kind of draw we get.
Right? Seriously.
But unless the next round's on you,
we gotta
go. Cheers.
That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to, that show.